Falcons fans, how much heartbreak can one team take? Just when it feels like Atlanta is finally turning the corner, the injury bug strikes again, and this time, it's brutal. One young star is headed to injured reserve, another key player is fighting just to stay on the field, and the roster is already looking thinner than anyone expected. But don't panic yet, because hidden inside this chaos are a few signs of hope. Let's break it all down. The news is flying fast out of Flowery Branch, and Raheem Morris himself has confirmed it. The Atlanta Falcons are once again battling injuries at the worst possible time. Some of it will make you breathe easier, some of it will leave you shaking your head, and some of it might just make you angry. Let's start with what feels like a small victory. Darnell Mooney is back on the field. After missing valuable reps, the Falcons' speedy receiver was finally spotted at practice. For an offense that desperately needs explosiveness, seeing Mooney out there running routes again is a sigh of relief. The Falcons need him healthy if they want to scare defenses this season. But while one player returns, another goes down. Brillon Trice has been officially placed on injured reserve. This one stings. Trice already lost his entire rookie year to a knee injury, and now that same knee is keeping him sidelined again. The earliest he could return is after the Falcons' bye week, but there's no guarantee. For a team that's been waiting to see what he can bring to the pass rush, this is a gut punch. And it's not just Trice. The Falcons have been hit by what feels like a summer storm of injuries. Caleb McGarry is out for the season, Storm Norton will miss up to 2 months, and Taquan Graham is sidelined for at least 4 weeks. It's like every time this team takes one step forward, another key piece goes down. At this point, you have to ask, how much more can this roster take? Atlanta has depth, sure, but losing starter after starter is not something any team can just brush off. The Falcons are trying to build momentum under Raheem Morris, but it feels like they're battling bad luck every single week. So here's the real question for fans. On a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you right now about these injuries? Because for me, I was sitting at a 5 or 6 just a few weeks ago. Now, I'm closer to an 8. This team just cannot seem to catch a break. Falcons fans, drop your thoughts below. Are these injuries just bad timing, or do you think this season is already in trouble? Scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you right now in Atlanta's chances? Let's be real about Brillon Trice. He hasn't been terrible, but he also hasn't been the player the Falcons hoped for when they brought him in. Back at Washington, he was a force, explosive off the edge, disruptive in the backfield, a guy who made quarterbacks nervous. But ever since he stepped into the NFL, it feels like his body just hasn't kept up with his talent. The same injury that stole his rookie year is haunting him again, and now we're left wondering, is this who Trice is going to be for his whole career? And that's where the tough question comes in. How long is the leash for Brillon Trice? The Falcons have invested in this edge group. They brought in young studs like JPJ and Jalen Walker, who look hungry and ready to prove themselves. Atlanta can't afford to sit around forever, waiting and hoping that Trice's knee magically turns the corner. In the NFL, potential only lasts so long. Eventually, it's about production. It's hard to even say this, because nobody likes blaming a player for being hurt. Trice didn't choose this. But at the same time, football is a brutal business. 2 seasons in, and at best you'll have gotten a handful of snaps from him. If he can't get on the field this year, the Falcons might have no choice but to ask themselves, is it time to move on? Do they trade him while there's still some upside attached to his name? Do they let another team gamble on his recovery and take whatever draft pick they can get in return? Or do they ride it out, praying that his body holds up and he finally becomes the edge rusher they drafted him to be? These are tough conversations, but they're conversations Atlanta has to start having. Because this isn't just about one player anymore. It's about building a defense that can win now, not someday in the future. Falcons fans, I need your take. Should Atlanta keep waiting on Brillon Trice, or is it time to cut ties and move on? Drop your answer in the comments. Yes or no, is it time to give up on Trice? Finally, some good news for Atlanta. After weeks of questions at the nickel cornerback spot, the Falcons may have found their answer. Billy Bowman is officially stepping in as the starter at nickel. This is exactly what fans have been waiting to hear. Let's be honest, Alfred just wasn't getting the job done. He wasn't terrible, but every time he was tested, it felt like the result was the same: beaten off the line, trailing in coverage, or giving up key plays in the middle of the field. Sure, he flashed with the occasional hit or pass breakup, but consistency wasn't there. And in today's NFL, where slot receivers can kill you if you're even a step slow, that's just not good enough. Enter Billy Bowman. This kid brings something different: versatility and instincts. He played safety in college, which means he understands angles, spacing, and how to read a quarterback's eyes. That background gives him an edge at nickel, because he's not just reacting, he's anticipating. He's quick, explosive, and has the speed to stay sticky on routes across the middle. Now, he's not perfect. Bowman's smaller than ideal for the position, and sometimes he struggles to finish tackles in the open field. But what he gives you in coverage, awareness, and flexibility makes up for it. He's the kind of player who can adapt, shift inside, help against bigger receivers, and even drop back in safety looks if needed. That's a weapon Raheem Morris and this defense can use. Think about the difference this makes. With Alfred, every matchup against a physical slot receiver felt like a liability. With Bowman, you finally have someone who can mirror routes, close space, and compete for the football. And we've already seen why this change was necessary. Go back to the preseason game against Isaac Tesla. Alfred was flat out bullied on a simple out and fade route, beaten cleanly to the sideline, and then muscled at the goal line. Plays like that are the reason the staff pulled the plug. So yes, this is big news for Atlanta's defense. Billy Bowman is young, hungry, and unafraid of the spotlight. It may not solve every problem in the secondary, but it's a huge step in the right direction. Falcons fans, do you believe Bowman is the long-term answer at nickel, or should Atlanta still be searching for an upgrade? Drop your take below. Are you confident in the rookie, or do you think this is just a temporary fix? Let's talk about the bigger picture here, because as much as the nickel corner spot feels settled with Bowman, there are still serious questions across this roster. First up, the offensive line. With Caleb McGarry gone for the year, the Falcons are scrambling to figure out who can lock down that right tackle job. Right now, it's a three-man battle between Elijah Wilkinson, Brandon Parker, and rookie Jack Nelson. If you ask me, Wilkinson has the inside track. He's not flashy, but he's dependable, and at this stage, that's what Atlanta needs most: stability. The Falcons can't afford to gamble with pass protection, especially when you've got a young quarterback in Michael Penix Jr. standing back there. One mistake on the blind side could cost you a game, or worse, your season. Now, some fans have wondered if Matthew Bergeron could slide over to tackle, or if Jarrett Jones could be an emergency option. Even Raheem Morris hinted at that flexibility. But let's be real, those would be desperation moves. Jack Nelson, meanwhile, simply isn't ready. He's talented, but he needs reps, polish, and time to grow. Throwing him into the fire too soon could do more harm than good. For now, this is Wilkinson's job to lose. But the line isn't the only story. Over on defense, the Falcons made another big decision. Xavier Woods has been named the starting safety next to Jesse Bates. And that's huge. Woods may not have the star power yet, but he's earned his spot. He's physical, he's smart, and he's shown he can tackle at a high level. Puff graded him near an 80 in tackling, one of the highest on the team, and his run-stopping instincts are already ahead of the curve. Yes, his coverage needs work, but that comes with reps. What's more telling is that Atlanta is only carrying 3 safeties this year. That's a massive show of confidence. Raheem Morris basically said it all. They trust Woods to hold it down, and they trust the safety room as a whole to do the job without extra bodies. So, while the offensive line feels shaky, The secondary just got a boost. One step forward, one step back. That seems to be the theme of Atlanta's preseason so far. Falcons fans, what worries you more, the hole at right tackle or the trust being placed in Xavier What's at safety? Drop your answer in the comments, offense or defense. Which side keeps you up at night? Let's stay on defense for just a moment. The Falcons are rolling with Jesse Bates, Xavier Watts, and DeMarco Hellams as their three safeties, and that's it. No extras, no insurance policies. Why? Because the staff clearly believes this group is strong enough to hold its own. Bates is one of the best safeties in football, and now he's paired with a young hitter in Watts who brings speed and physicality. Add Hellams as depth, and suddenly you see why the team loaded up at corner instead. They kept 7. That tells you where their bigger concerns are. Still, I can't lie, I'm excited to see what's lined up next to Bates. If he plays up to his potential, this could quietly become one of the best safety duos in the NFL. Now, shifting gears, the Falcons finally have an answer on special teams. Jamal Agnew has been named the team's primary returner. This is a move that makes sense. Agnew has speed, vision, and the kind of shiftiness that can flip field position in a heartbeat. And with Atlanta also carrying 7 wide receivers, you can bet part of the reason is because they want that extra special teams value. But let's get to the real question every Falcons fan has on their mind. Are you confident or worried about Week 1? I'll be honest, I'm somewhere in the middle. On one hand, the injuries are piling up. We've seen too many starters lost before the season even begins. On the other, Raheem Morris is calm, confident, and insisting this team is ready. And while I do believe him, sometimes it feels like he's trying to keep the peace more than telling us the whole story. The truth is, Week 1 could go either way. The talent is there. The defense is coming together. But the health of this roster and the lack of preseason reps from starters are real concerns. Falcons fans, it's your turn. Are you confident or nervous heading into the Week 1 opener? Drop your answer below. Confident or worried? Let's see where the fan base really stands.